Bad Pachimari is one of the longest standing Overwatch content creators out there who, whilst not being as active on his YouTube as he once was, he's become ingrained in the Overwatch League community as being the most cursed person around. So how did he get this reputation? Is he really as cursed as we think, and will he ever shed that reputation in the future? Bad Pachimari, or BP as I'll now refer to him, started off his run over 5 years ago with his infamous Marketable series, where he picked out the most standout content creators and personalities, clipped their best moments, and packaged them in a digestible video heavily interjected with some of his own memes to help bring more attention to the player or organisation. One of his best videos, which turns out to be the oldest on his channel, is the XQC is Marketable video, who we now know of course, just signed a $100 million deal to Kick and is the biggest Twitch streamer in the world. I'll play a short clip of Pachimari's video since it's quite nostalgic to see how far XQC has come and how much he's changed since then.
Best streamer on Twitch, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, right.
See it in the headlines.
Been off alone! Hell yeah!
He also made videos on smaller organisations and or lesser known names or scenes at the time, which did help draw attention to them, whether that be Rogue, Contenders, Kungana, Envious, etc. I think it's quite overlooked on how much these videos help the average player to actually give a shit about the esports scene. Stuff like Contenders nobody even cared about, so it was nice to see Bad Pachimari shine a light on these areas of the game. Even in the Overwatch League, if the casual player didn't care about the scene, these videos would help make them care by how entertaining they were. It's a shame that Pachimari doesn't do these videos anymore, and we'll get onto why later on, but the Marketable series is definitely a firm stamp in the progression of the Overwatch League community. In fact, someone watching this video right now could reinvigorate the Marketable series, which slowly faded out over time, with his death marked on October the 28th, 2020, with Sado is Marketable. Pachimari, if you're watching this, please bring back the series. We need a proper is Marketable, a Hardy is Marketable, or a Krusty is Marketable. Literally anything right now. I'm bloody starved for Overwatch League content. While BP's activity decreased on YouTube, it's definitely increased on Twitter. I'm not gonna scroll 10 years on Twitter to find some old tweets of his, but he's on a streak where he regularly puts up predictions and has been doing so for quite some time. I'll get onto why this is important later on. The stuff you're tweeting out in 2022 was very much similar to the stuff that you'd see now. Instead of making a longer form video on YouTube, Pachimari instead makes these shorter, more dopamine fueled TikTok-esque clips and memes, either after a match or just summarising the season as a whole. For example, he made one on the Mid-Season Madness, and unfortunately, I can't play it all due to copyrights, but he does a great job at synthesizing the best moments down to a minute or two. Honestly, he should still upload these to YouTube, I don't know why not. Some of his most popular memes are often narrative-driven ones, like the narrative that Philadelphia Fusion always finish second and or they never win anything, despite having a seemingly massive budget.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Fusion, I believe, are completely gone.
This is dubbed the Fusion Experience. You can literally type in on Twitter at Bad Pachimari and then type Fusion Experience afterwards, and you can see how many different memes there are of Fusion just fumbling the bag multiple times. Some of his other moments have been jokingly saying that he changed Team USA's roster because of a tweet he made, and for those who don't know, Team USA likely changed their roster due to the poor performance of the Toronto Defiance. BP also apparently bricked Flatz's computer, and that somehow led to Boston qualifying for the Mid-Season Madness. I honestly wish I could give you more context, but I can't. However, the real juice with BP is of course his dreaded predictions. The curse with Bad Pachimari is that his preds are so bad that whatever team he predicts to win ends up losing. In essence, the opposite of what Bad Pachimari would say would come true. For example, he had seemingly cursed the PvE, saying the PvE is real, which is a play on the One Piece is real, and then 20 minutes later, as we know, the PvE got partially scrapped, so people said to BP that he cursed the PvE. This led to one of the bigger, more notable accounts on Overwatch Twitter, Marky Sauce, DMing Bad Pachimari, stating, "Can you diagnose me with cancer real quick?" with BP responding, "You will live a happy life," obviously implying that because the opposite of what BP says is true, that it's not gonna happen. But is it really as simple as that? Is everything that BP says completely wrong? And I say this because Bad Pachimari has gotten some unlikely predictions correct. For example, in the Pro-Am earlier this year, Pachimari predicted contenders team Trick Room beating the San Francisco Shock in a 2-1 fashion, and they did.
They're crazy! He Ajax! Oh, he Ajax! Oh, Mayball! They're crazy! They're nutcases!
No, guys.
Oh,
no.
they're nutcases. BP got it right. BP got it right.
What did BP know? Wait, hold on.
BP got it right.
And this isn't the only time that BP got an unlikely prediction correct. On May 26th this year, he predicted that either one of London, Vegas, NYXL, or Mayhem would win, and he was exactly right, as the NYXL had won their Justice match. There was also the recent Gladiators vs Valiant match, where Pachimari also predicted the Valiant beating the Gladiators, of which only 5% of people had believed in. And then there was the recent set of matches this Saturday, where BP got all 4 predictions correct in terms of which team won. So I do think there is more nuance to the BP curse. However, you know the saying, a broken clock is right twice a day. I think that applies to BP. I think for the most part, in a case where the match is relatively uncertain, Pachimari will often more be wrong than right. For example, in these set of matches here, he predicted Toronto, Reign, Shock, and Titans winning their matches, but he ended up getting only one of those right, being the obvious Reign match. Even the first day in the mid-season madness, he only got one prediction right, being again the obvious Reign vs Spitfire match, which is basically the best team in the league against the worst team in the league. So, is BP cursed? Sad to say, I think so more often than not. You could legitimately bet money against what Bad Pachimari predicts and actually make money off his cursed preds, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Looking through his old tweets, I actually struggled finding a good week where Pachimari got all preds right, aside from the obvious night and day games like the Atlanta-London one. However, throughout all this time, BP was still making the occasional video. His most recent one is on Lifeweaver, but he also made some on the release of Overwatch 2. The main reason why he hasn't been making more of these videos is simple. It's just a motivation factor. And as a creator myself, it really can be that simple sometimes. It's a lot easier to post your 20-second memes on Twitter, which quickly get engagement in the 4 digits, than it is to sit down on your video editor for hours on end to then get a video that goes 10 out of 10 in your YouTube studio. It's not a particularly fun or rewarding experience. As for now, as BP states in a tweet himself, the league is kinda crazy at the moment. Liar being called the White Chio in that recent Glads match, Advance being the largest Overwatch co-streamer being a cannibal, the drought and resurgence of white boys thanks to Liar, but also Renko and Luke Mino joining the Shock, and Striker joining Shock for the 3rd time just after leaving Boston. There's a lot of content that can be made around the league, and I hope that BP does make that grand return one day. In the meantime, he can keep cursing out teams, fucking up his and people's own preds. And that's it for the video. Shout out to my tier 2 Patreon, broken by 50%, as well as my other channel members, XBenny, T-Meg, Chris Jones, Craig, Nine Socks, Resolucio, and Susfring. Until next time.